She was born into love, a single child cherished beyond measure. Connie Ng had everything a parent could dream of for their daughter: grace, intelligence, and a heart too kind for the world she would one day face. Her father, a respected doctor, believed that knowledge could protect her from pain. Her mother, gentle and patient, filled her childhood with warmth. To everyone around them, they were the picture of a perfect family in a city that thrived on success. But no amount of love or education could prepare Connie for what waited beyond her home's quiet walls. When she met Kwak Wing Chun, the handsome heir to a powerful family, it seemed like destiny. Two souls from privilege, bound by faith and affection. Yet the love that once made her eyes shine would soon consume her spirit. What began as a promise of forever turned into years of silence, fear, and loss. The girl who once dreamed of Oxford, who smiled in every photo, would one day speak of pain so deep it left scars no one could see. This is not just the story of a broken marriage. It is the story of a woman who gave everything for love and lost herself in the process. In the heart of Hong Kong, where ambition and glamour intertwine, a young girl named Connie Ng grew up believing her world was safe. Her parents were both doctors, dedicated, principled, and admired, and they poured every ounce of their love into their only child. They taught her that kindness mattered more than beauty, that humility was the truest sign of grace. From an early age, Connie carried those lessons like quiet treasures. She excelled at everything she touched. Teachers described her as a light in the classroom, and her classmates adored her not for her looks, but for her calm, sincere nature. She was the kind of girl who stayed late to help others study, who never raised her voice, and who smiled even when she was tired. There was a certain gentleness about her, the kind that made people believe she would always be protected from the cruelty of the world. Her father, a leading pulmonologist, often attended medical conferences and charity events among Hong Kong's upper class. Occasionally, he brought Connie along, proud to show her the life that hard work could build. She would stand quietly beside him, observing how the city's powerful moved through the room, confident, polished, untouchable. It was during one of these evenings, beneath chandeliers and champagne laughter, that fate quietly altered her path. A talent scout noticed her, captivated by her modest beauty and serene presence. He approached her with a business card, telling her she had the kind of face Hong Kong loved. At first, Connie didn't take it seriously. Modeling belonged to another world, one her parents would never approve of. But as invitations came again and again, curiosity began to bloom inside her. Her parents resisted, afraid the entertainment world would steal their daughter's innocence. Yet when they saw how determined she was, they finally relented, on one condition: her grades must never drop. And so, Connie lived two lives. By day, she was the disciplined student every parent admired. By night, she stood beneath studio lights, learning how to pose, how to smile, how to transform into someone the public adored. Cameras loved her. Her photos appeared in magazines, on billboards, in fashion campaigns. People began to whisper her name, Connie Ng, the girl who could be anything she wanted to be. But behind that newfound success, she stayed humble, never forgetting her father's words. Shine with your heart, not your image. No one, not even Connie herself, could have imagined that this same light, the one that made her so admired, would one day draw her toward the very darkness that would destroy her peace. It was at church, not a fashion event, where Connie met the man who would forever alter her life. Kwak Wing Chun, the son of a prestigious family tied to the powerful Wing On group, was handsome, confident, and charming, in a quiet, almost deliberate way. He came from a world where doors opened effortlessly, where money softened every edge of life. Yet when he first saw Connie sitting alone in the pews, dressed simply and lost in prayer, he saw something he couldn't buy: purity. To him, she was untouched by the cynicism of the city, a reflection of everything good he thought he wanted to be. To her, He was kind, attentive, and surprisingly gentle. They talked about faith, about family, about the future. Slowly, an affection grew between them. The kind that feels safe. The kind that makes you believe love can only lift you higher. But what Connie didn't know was that beneath Quack's calm devotion lived something darker. The need to possess what he admired. His pursuit was relentless. When she tried to keep her distance, he became more tender, more convincing, weaving promises of a love guided by God. Her resistance softened. By 18, she was no longer just a model or a student. She was someone's girlfriend. For the first time in her life, she defied her father. She skipped school one day to celebrate Quack's birthday, bringing him a cake she had baked herself. It seemed harmless, but when her parents found out, they saw it as a dangerous distraction. Her father, the man who once praised her discipline, grew cold and distant, watching her every move, trying to protect her from a love he didn't trust. Still, Connie's heart only grew more devoted. When Quack was accepted into Harvard University, she promised to wait. They wrote letters, spoke late into the night, and made plans for a shared future. But when she finally visited him in the United States, everything changed. In a quiet apartment far from home, the boy she loved crossed a line that could never be undone. Connie said no, again and again, holding on to her faith and her dignity. But Quack's love turned violent. The gentle smile she once trusted disappeared. For 4 days, she was trapped between fear and disbelief, unable to recognize the person she thought she knew. When it was over, she was released. But the damage had already been done. She didn't tell her parents. She didn't tell the police. Instead, she told herself it must have been her fault. That maybe he acted out of love. That maybe if she forgave him, it would all go away. But some silences don't heal. They grow heavier with time, tightening their grip around the soul. And for Connie, that silence became the first chain in a prison she would never truly escape. When Connie returned home from the United States, her smile no longer reached her eyes. She told her parents that the trip had been exhausting, that she needed rest, and that she wanted to focus on school again. No one knew what had really happened behind those closed doors. The quiet girl who once glowed with confidence now lived with a shadow she could not name. At night, she lay awake, replaying every moment. The pain, the fear, the apology that came after. He had said he loved her too much, that he didn't mean to hurt her, that no one else could ever understand her like he did. And somewhere in the confusion of guilt and longing, Connie believed him. She began to think that maybe forgiveness was the only way to erase what he had done. But forgiveness, when given to the wrong person, doesn't heal. It binds. Quack's voice became the one that shaped her world. He told her she was lucky to have someone who still wanted her after what happened. He reminded her over and over that no one else would ever accept her past. Every word chipped away at her confidence, until she could no longer separate his truth from her own. Slowly, she stopped dreaming about Oxford. When she was accepted to the University of London, it should have been a triumph, proof that her brilliance had survived even after trauma. But instead of pride, she felt fear. Quack grew possessive, angry that she wanted to study abroad just as he was about to return to Hong Kong. The distance between them became a weapon. He accused her of being selfish, of abandoning him, and of forgetting what he had sacrificed for her. Connie tried to explain, but every conversation ended in guilt. Soon, she stopped fighting back. When her parents begged her to end the relationship, she refused. She told them that Quack was the only person who truly loved her, the only one who could understand her pain. Her father's disappointment cut deeply, but her heart was already imprisoned. She saw the world through Quack's eyes. When he finally proposed marriage, she said yes without hesitation, believing that love could heal what had been broken. Her parents tried to stop the wedding. Her father, a man who had saved countless lives, could not save his own daughter. In the year 2000, Connie Ng became Mrs. Quack Wing Chun. Standing at the altar, she believed she was being redeemed, that by marrying the man who had hurt her, she could rewrite their story into something pure. But in truth, it was the moment she sealed her fate. What she saw as forgiveness, he saw as ownership. And as the guests applauded, as cameras flashed, Connie had no idea that she wasn't walking into a new life. She was walking into her cage. In the early days of marriage, Connie still believed love could fix everything. She cooked his favorite meals, left small notes on his desk, and waited every evening for the sound of his key in the door. She wanted to prove that she could be the perfect wife, patient, devoted, forgiving. But love given without balance becomes obedience, and obedience in the wrong hands becomes control. Soon, Quack's tenderness began to fade. He wanted her home at all times, wanted her to stop modeling, to stop being seen. He said a wife's place was beside her husband, not under a camera's light. Slowly, the walls of their apartment became her new world. What began as gentle requests turned into commands. Connie learned to measure his moods, how to speak when he was calm, how to disappear when he was angry. Each day, she shrank a little more, her laughter replaced by silence. When Quack criticized her weight, she took it as a mission to please him. She skipped meals, swallowed diet pills, and convinced herself that if she stayed thin enough, he would love her again. Her father noticed her fading frame, but she brushed off his concern. "I'm fine," she said, but she wasn't. Years of self-denial turned into illness. Her body began to reject food altogether, her stomach paralyzed by what doctors later called gastroparesis, a rare and painful condition that left her unable to eat. She was only in her 20s, but her body was collapsing under the weight of emotional starvation long before the physical one began. At first, Quack appeared caring, taking her to hospitals, arranging specialists. But as the illness dragged on, his patience withered. He stopped showing up at appointments, stopped answering calls. When she cried, he called her dramatic. When she begged him to stay, he said he was tired. And when he was photographed with the actress Mickey Young walking hand in hand through the city streets, Connie didn't shout, didn't fight. She simply fell silent. Because deep down, she already knew the truth. Her love had become a wound that he no longer even noticed. She tried to save the marriage in every way she could. She cooked despite her sickness, writing down recipes in a trembling hand, hoping he would come home to taste them. But he never did. The woman who once stood under bright lights now lived in a dim kitchen, waiting for a man who had already left her in every way but legally. Outside, the media painted her as fragile, pitiful, even dramatic. But behind those headlines was something more devastating. A young woman slowly disappearing, body and soul, inside the home that was supposed to protect her. By 2006, the silence between them had grown louder than any argument. One evening, Quack told Connie he needed time apart, that he was too tired, that he needed space to think. She believed him because she always did. But when 2 years passed and he returned, it wasn't with flowers or apologies. It was with divorce papers. After years of devotion, Connie was no longer a wife. She was an inconvenience. When he said he wanted freedom, she didn't scream. She simply stared, too weak to fight, too broken to understand how love could vanish so easily. The girl who once dreamed of forever now sat across a man who couldn't even look her in the eye. What followed was not just a separation of two people, but a public dissection of her pain. In 2009, the divorce became official. Connie appeared in court frail and pale, her weight reduced to that of a child's. Cameras flashed as she fainted during one of the hearings, an image that spread through tabloids and became the symbol of her downfall. To the public, it looked like drama. To those who knew her, it was exhaustion. Years of emotional and physical suffering condensed into one fragile moment. The court ordered Quack Wing-chun to pay a modest monthly allowance. He argued it was too much. He claimed poverty, despite his family's wealth. Each time Connie asked for what she was owed, he resisted. He said she demanded too much, that she was greedy, that she was holding on only for money. But all she wanted was survival, the means to pay for the treatment that kept her alive. When his relationship with Mickey Young became public, it confirmed what she had long suspected. She had been replaced long before the papers were signed. The contrast between them was unbearable. Connie, skeletal and confined to a hospital bed, feeding through a tube. Quack, smiling in photographs, attending galas beside a woman, healthy, radiant, and adored. The tabloids called it a tragic love story, but it was never about love. It was about power, and what happens when one person is silenced so completely that her suffering becomes entertainment. When the final ruling arrived, Connie was awarded a small settlement, but it wasn't justice. It was pity written in legal language. The court ended their marriage, but not the damage. The pain remained, lingering like a shadow no decree could erase. After the divorce, Connie lived between hospitals and her parents' home. A quiet existence held together by wires, tubes, and hope. She was kept alive through intravenous nutrition, her body too weak to process food. At only 22 kilograms, she was no longer recognizable, a fragile outline of the girl who had once smiled for magazine covers. And yet, inside her frail body, a small spark refused to die. On her Weibo account, she began writing again, not to accuse, not to seek pity, but to tell her story. Her words were trembling, but clear. She wrote about pain, about faith, about what it means to love someone who destroys you. She never asked for vengeance, only acknowledgement. Some called her delusional, others mocked her for clinging to the past. But behind every post was a truth that many refused to see. She was still fighting. When the court increased her alimony to $4,000 a month, people said she had won. But what did victory mean when every breath felt borrowed? In a post from 2018, Connie revealed something that silenced even her critics. Her father had spent over 11 million Hong Kong dollars on her medical care, desperately trying to save her life. He had aged decades in those years, watching his only child fade before his eyes. "My father never gave up on me," she wrote, "even when I gave up on myself." That realization changed her. For the first time in years, Connie stopped writing about loss and began writing about peace. She spoke of forgiveness, not for him, but for herself. She said healing was not about forgetting, but about releasing the weight of pain so it no longer owned her. And though her body remained weak, her spirit grew quiet and steady, like the first light after a long night. In photos taken years later, she still appeared thin, but there was something new in her eyes. Not joy, not sorrow, but acceptance. The kind of peace that comes when you finally understand that survival too is a form of strength. In the end, what remained of Connie Ng was not the scandal, the illness, or the court battles. It was her quiet endurance. A life once painted in gold had turned into a portrait of survival, drawn in shades of pain. Yet even in that darkness, she found something most people never do: the strength to forgive without forgetting. Her story is not about weakness, nor about failure. It is about the silent cost of loving someone too deeply and the danger of confusing control with care. Connie once believed that love could heal everything. What she learned, too late, was that love without respect is not love at all. It is submission disguised as devotion. When she finally let go of her anger, she rediscovered a piece of herself the world had tried to erase. She found peace not in the man who broke her, but in the family who never stopped loving her. Her father's hands, once steady from years of healing others, trembled as he continued to care for her. And through his love, Connie remembered who she was before the pain: a daughter, a believer, a woman who once shined with kindness. Today, her story stands as both a tragedy and a warning. Behind every perfect romance, there can be chains invisible to the eye. Behind every smile, there can be silence too heavy to bear. Connie Ng's life reminds us that some cages are made not of iron, but of love. and that freedom sometimes begins with walking away. If this story moved you, remember her not for the sorrow she carried, but for the light she still tried to keep alive. Subscribe to Criminal Tracks for the stories the world forgets and the voices that deserve to be heard.